Hi everyone, you're welcome to my Professor Note. This is Bhupesh Sharma. Here in this video, we're going to start the analysis of your Kerala Set English exam, which is going to be immensely helpful for your upcoming exam. Alright, so without any further delay, start our analysis. The very first question you have here is the how many pilgrims, according to Chaucer, were part of the company that arrived at the Tabard Inn as he lay there? So let me tell you, there were in total the pilgrims only, there were 29 pilgrims, right? But including Chaucer, right? Including Chaucer, he is the 30th character, also the narrator of it. And the 31st is the Harebelle. But if we call the common people, right, who were representing the society, who get the chance to tell their tale, they were only 29. The common people from the city, from the villages, who were representing the England of the time, they were only 29. Besides, we have the narrator and the Harry Bailey. In complete, they were 31st. But the common people, the pilgrims who wanted to go on the shrine of Thomas Becket, they are only 29 pilgrims. Okay. Whenever they will ask the total character, they are 31st, but pilgrims we have only the 29. Okay. Who was the first to print the Canterbury Tales? The Canterbury Tales is printed by the William Caxton in 1476. Let me make it more thin. The line here, it's not working. Wait a minute. Okay, let's start now. So Canterbury Tales. The actual plan was to write the 120 tale, but he could complete only 24. Now two tales are in the prose and the 22 are in the verse. Two tale. First prose tale by the we have here the parson's tale in the prose. Second tale is the Chaucer's tale, which is called the tale of which is called the tale of Melody. Tale of Melody. Okay, now let's move further. Besides this, one more important thing. There we have three characters, three female characters in it. Very first is the wife of Bath, right? Then we have the nun prioress. Third character we have is the second nun. So these are the three female characters we have here. Okay, I have given a very less space between these questions, so it is causing this problem to write something on it. Last time, next time I'll make sure that I leave the enough area to do the other question as well. So these two questions done. Third one now. The Prothalamion can be considered a song. So now Prothalamion, let me tell you. The Prothalamion written by the Edmund Spenser. Who wrote it? Edmund Spenser. Okay. For the marriage of the twin daughters of whom? Earl of Worcester. His two daughters' name is first name is Elizabeth. Second one is the Catherine Somerset. So both of their surname is Somerset, and it is the nuptial song written for the marriage by whom? Edmund Spenser. Make sure you remember it. Then we have the fourth one here. So let me take the right answers for you here this way. D. Okay. A. Fourth one. Now, main collaborator of John Webster, the Jacobean writer, was so John Webster wrote the westward ho with Thomas Dekker in 1604, which influenced the eastward ho, written by the Ben Jonson, George Chapman, right? So you remember it. This play Westward Ho influenced the Eastward Ho by Ben Jonson and George Chapman. All right. Now let's move ahead because these details are very important. You have to keep in your mind. Now the fifth question. The theatre in which Shakespeare is said to have had a proprietary interest. So Shakespeare has bought the Globe. He had a proprietary interest in it. It was built in the 1599 by his company called the Lord of Chamberlain. It was destroyed in 1613 with fire but rebuilt again in 1614, and then with the break of civil war and with the order of the parliament all the theatres were shut down in the 1642. So Globe was also shut down in 1642. All right, very important thing you have to remember in regard to these theatres. Okay, Shakespeare's another question we have here. Shakespeare relied on the translation of Plutarch's life. Now, one important thing I want to tell you here, that if you guys are thinking, sir, what we have to study for our Kerala set, from where to get the study material, you have no need to go anywhere. Simply go for the My Professor Notes study material. No need to refer any other book. That is my guarantee to you. You just access to this study material, you just read it. You start with the British literature. I will provide you this study material. You get in touch with us on this number, WhatsApp us or call us, and I'll be providing the study material. You simply read that. Beside this, don't do anything. Cover the study material, and after that do the analysis of the previous year's question paper, and I'll be doing its analysis here on my channel. Just watch that. If you can't do it on your own, if you want to do it on your own, the previous year's question analysis, I'll be providing these two, right? But first you read the study material, and after that you do the analysis in order to test your prep, or you can just simply watch the videos here of the analysis. Okay. The sixth question that we are talking here is, Shakespeare relied on the translation of the Plutarch's lives by. So Plutarch's lives work is written by the Thomas Norton, right? In which year? In the 1579 it was published. And this work has influenced the conceptualization of Shakespeare's tragic hero. His tragic heroes are influenced with this work. On the basis of this writing, he has built his tragic characters. And his works of Shakespeare's work, like Timon of Athens. Second work we have here is the Coriolanus, right? Third work we have it. These works are influenced by the Plutarch's life. Coriolanus, Antony, and Cleopatra, right? And the fourth work is the Julius Caesar. So make sure you remember it too. So these are the four works which are influenced by the Plutarch's life, and Shakespeare relied on it. Okay, published in 1579. Make sure you remember the date. Now let's move further. Here we have our seventh question now. Seventh question is about the first published edition of the collected works of Shakespeare in 1623 is called At the First Folio. This is a third question continuously that we are doing of the Shakespeare. Means they are also, there is a weightage on the Shakespeare based questions. Folio it is called, and it is published by his colleagues and friends. Their name were John Hemming and the Henry Condell are the name of those characters who published it. They were his friends. So the first folio had 36 plays in it, right? For the first time they were published, 36 plays. 3 were missing. One of them is the Novel of Kinsman. it was not a part of it, right? Pericles, another play. There's a third play we have. There's one more play. We start with this Corodinius or Corolinius. It was something like this, but it was obviously not the Corolinius that we have mentioned here. It is one of the other play. I have just forgot its name. I will surely mention it in the later comment section below, in order to let you know. Besides this, you can also do a research on it. But there is one another play. Well, let's move further. So this is one thing you have to know about it. And besides, for the very first time here, his plays were divided into the three categories: history, comedy, and tragedy. Very first time we see the divide of his plays according to their categories in the first folio in 1623. Obviously, as he died in the 1616, so it was posthumously published. All right, now let's move further. Now let's move ahead. Here we have this. I hope you have written down the number. You will also get it in the description box. So as we have to do some work here of writing for that another question, so let's write about it. So eighth question we have here: for God's sake hold your tongue and let me live, is the opening line of John Donne's 1633 poem, The Canonization. Right? Here he has used the conceit of love as asceticism, platonic love, that the lover is getting the sainthood. It is not the love of the flesh. It is the love of. It is a love of soul. It is the divine love. They have nothing to do with the physical world, but they have the love of soul for each other. And this is a kind of, he is might be searching, because he was a womanizer, as much as we have heard about John Donne. He was he had the hedonistic approach towards life, right? So somewhere he was feeling that there is a need not merely of the love of the flesh, but the love of the soul as well. And it happens, the person who get fed up with the same routine, they try to achieve something bigger, you know. Then we have the ninth question here. And one important thing about the canonization, I missed that it is used by the Clinthbrook. Clinthbrook, we have him. He is the new critique. He used this poem for his argument of paradox, as the way he said that the paradox is a central element or the central item in the poetry. And he chose one of this poem there in order to support his argument. And I think it was a part of his heresy work. you know Heresy is something which does not follow the conventions, the conventional approach, the way society is being formed, the way the work is going on in society, the way religion work, your thought process work. They go against it. So for one of his work of that kind, he took this as an example there to support his argument of the paradox. Who? Clinthbrook. Which poem? The Canonization. All right, let's move ahead. Ninth question we have here: the great men referred to at the beginning of Paradise Lost is. So Paradise Lost, we know that it has the two editions. First came in the 1667, which had the 12 books, sorry, the 10 books. Another one came in the 1674, which has only the 12 books. These are one of the quantitative details that you have to remember about it. Well, the great man, which is referred at the beginning of the Paradise Lost, is the Christ, because he is the one who sacrificed himself for the sake of humanity. So not Saturn, not Eve, not Evan, it is the Jesus Christ, right? The Son of God. He is referred here as the great man. So make sure you remember it, and you get all these details in the study material by my professor notes, so no need to worry. Just simply revise it, read it, no need to worry. One page from another one, complete it, and do the analysis of previous year's question paper. This is the mantra to qualify any exam now. 10th question. Mr. Pinchwife is the jealous husband in. So all of these four plays you are seeing here, all of these four plays are the part of a restoration comedy, which was influenced by the French Moliere, right? Do you know Moliere? He is the French dramatist. So he is the one who have influenced this restoration comedy. Men of Mode. Men of Mode is one of the play by the George Etheridge, published in the 1676, right? The main character here is a Doriment. Who is the main character here? The Doriment. So he is in love with the Harriet. He is falling in love in Harriet in order to disengage himself from the love it, another lady he is engaged with. So but he want to disengage with her, so that is the reason he want to get in love with the Harriet, and she wants uh, and he wants her to fall in love with him. Only then it will be possible for him. So this is what this play is about, and it also has the subtitle. You know, this Man of Mode had the subtitle called the Sir Foppling Flutter is a subtitle, right, of it. So make sure you write these common details on the paper or whatever you have with you right now. Now coming to the answer, in Country Wife, we have this character name called Pinch Wife, who is the husband of the one of the naive country girl. He got to marry to that girl because he does not want any, a clever, a smart woman in his life, because he thinks that they can cuckold him, or ditch him, and can fell in love or can do the adultery. So that is the reason he go for this naive country girl. But here is a character name called Horner, the main character, you can say, the Horner. He plays the trick of the importance trick he plays, that he is the important, not the real man. So the high class family men used to let him stay with their wives, but it was only a trick, and they used to engage in their activities of physical pleasure together. And well, Mr. Pinch wife was a jealous husband for sure. That Horner taught his wife all those tricks, that how to survive in a city like London, or how to have fun in a city like London. So she was not naive anymore, because Horner played the trick also upon her. And this is the play by the William Wycherley, the another restoration uh, dramatist we have here, published in the 1675. Then we have the Old Bachelor. Old Bachelor is the 1693 play by the William Congreve. It is the William Congreve play, right? So this is the important thing you have to remember here. Besides this, we have a fourth play here, The Way of the World, which is published in the 1700. It has 5 acts in all, and it is also written by the William Congreve. It has the 5 acts in all. First acts open in the chocolate chocolate house. The first act open in the chocolate house, and there we have the two characters, these Mirabelle and Millamant, who are in love with each other, Mirabelle and Millamant. The whole play is focused on them mainly, that how they're going to get marry each other, because the Millamant's aunt is not allowing the Mirabelle to get married with her, right? So now we have the 11th question here, the Tartler. Tartler is one of the periodical, came into existence in the 1709 with the effort of the Richard Steele, and later he was assisted by the Joseph Addison as well, as they together launched their another uh, magazine or periodical, we can say, in the 1711 called the Spectator, right? Or it was 13, maybe. I'm just quite confused about this date here, so I'll check, also mention in the comment section, or you can check it yourself too. But there's another Spectator, we know this is the periodical, either its publication date is the 1711 or 1713, or either it got they have stopped issuing the further uh, publications of this Spectator in 1713. Yeah, so these are the two magazines that Joseph Addison and the Richard Steele run together. And besides this, we have the Samuel Pepys here. He was a diarist, right? He was a diarist, and his diary contains a very important historical document which contains the details from the 1616 to 1669. This question is also being asked. This date is very important, so make sure you remember it. His diary contained the details from the 1660 to 1669, like the fire of London, and the Great Plague we had there. So for all these events, it is a very important document. James Boswell, he is the biographer of the life of Johnson, Samuel Johnson, published in the 1791. So Boswell is very important, another character we have here. Now, 12th question we have Mac Flecknoe. Mac Flecknoe is a lampoon on Thomas Shadwell, for sure. It was written by the John Dryden. John Dryden in the John Dryden wrote this in the 1682. Mac Flecknoe is the one, and it starts with the lines, all the things means to decay, right? So this is one of the first line with what it begins, and it was a satire on the Thomas Shadwell. This is another important thing that you have to remember. Dr. Johnson, your Ben Jonson, Collis Cibber was also a restoration age playwright. Ben Jonson, Elizabethan, Dr. Johnson we have in the Age of Sensibility, and obviously we will be discussing them later as we will get the suitable questions to discuss them here. Now let's move ahead. So it should be it's if you want to get touch on it, so it is the my professors, actually it is S after R and @gmail.com. so you can also mail me for your study material as well, and very soon you will be checking its analysis on our website called myprofessornote.com, right? You will get its analysis of your case set on our website within a next few days. I'll be uploading its link on our Telegram channel, so you can go on our Telegram channel and get access to all the important information that I am sharing there every single day. Question 13. Wordsworth has said that poetry is the spontaneous overflow of the powerful feelings, emotions which are recollected in the tranquility. Emotions is a word, and this line appears in the preface to the lyrical ballads manifesto of the Romantic Age. That's where this line appeared. And the people sometimes misinterpreted it. They say that the whatever feelings he's saying. No, he said the emotions which are recollected in the tranquility. So your mind is at ease, at a peace, so you can see the whole essence of the thing, that what it actually means. So he's not saying just anything which is coming to your mind, but in recollected in the tranquility, he's saying here. Question number 4. Lines from the Ballad of Sir Patrick Spens are quoted as the epigraph to. So these lines appear in the S.T. Coleridge's poem. S.T. Coleridge, we know the another person who published the lyrical ballads with Wordsworth. Rejection of Ode is the one where line of Sir Patrick Spence's were quoted as the epigraph. This poem was written to the Sarah Hutchinson. Sarah Hutchinson. Okay, in 1802 it was written. Aeropagitica is one of the first document which is written to defend the right of expression. Right to speech was defended by the Aeropagitica for the very first time. It was published in the 1644. It is the prose work by the John Milton, because there was a ban on publishing books and newspaper, and information needs to be shared, right? For a healthy society, it is very, very important. Besides this, Ode on Intimation of Immorality and the Prelude, both of these work by the Wordsworth. So now you're getting idea that what sort of questions are being asked, and as I am analyzing every single thing here for you, Childe Harold's Pilgrimage is an autobiographical work by The Universal Truth by the Byron for sure. 1818 work dedicated to the Lethe. It is written in the 4 cantos, right? In the Spenserian stanza. Spenserian stanza go like A B A, B B C, B C C. So you can remember like Abba, Buck, Buck, Buckuk. This is how you can also remember it. All right. So this is about the Childe Harold. So to discuss the next question, let us make us the enough space here. Okay. All right. Now we have the 16th question. The modern Prometheus. Modern Prometheus is the question we have here. Modern Prometheus is the subtitle of the Frankenstein, published in the 1818. Anonymously, it was published by the Mary Shelley, the wife of the Percy Bysshe Shelley. Introduction is written by her husband Shelley, and in 1821 came its second edition, and that's where her name was mentioned for the very first time. Beside, the story is being told by the Victor Frankenstein, who invented the scientific creature who killed all his beloved ones, and it is written in the form of the letters, so it is also known as the epistolary novel. Another thing you have to remember about it, epistolary novel. It is also known as the epistolary novel. Its subtitle is the Modern Prometheus. Second edition is the 1821 with the name of the Mary Shelley. Mary Shelley was the daughter of the Wollstonecraft, who wrote one of the first, we can say, the feminist work, the wife of the Godwin, who had the great influence on the Shelley. So Shelley was influenced by the William Godwin, the father of Mary Shelley. So they were in the relationship, the whole family. And these 4 novels that you can see here, second, third, and fourth, these all are Gothic novels. Dracula is by the Bram Stoker. By whom? Bram Stoker in 1897. History of Udolpho by the Anna Karenina, published in the 1794. Melmoth the Wanderer is not important enough, to such an extent that I don't find it important to mention the writer name, but his name was the Charles Mutruin, right? Charles Mutruin. So make sure you remember that. No need to remember it, obviously. I am just making a conflict in my own statement. All right. Now we have Northanger Abbey here. In Northanger Abbey, The Mystery of Udolpho. Mystery of Udolpho. As a novel here we have this one, Udolpho. This is mentioned here. This is mentioned here. So obviously it is a Gothic novel, right? Mystery of Udolpho. And she made fun of the Gothic novel here. Who? Northanger Abbey writer Jane Austen. This novel is published in the 1817, right? So this is the other important thing you have to remember about it. Its date, and she made it was a comic satire, not the harsh satire. Udolpho, 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 Mystery of Udolpho by the Anna Karenina is mentioned here in the Northanger Abbey, published in the 1817 by the Jane Austen. 18th question we have here. Characters of Shakespeare's play and on the English comic writers. Both of these works, both of these works are by the William Hazlitt, and this is the Romantic era prose work. And Romantic era prose works are very, very important. Another prose writer we have the Thomas de Quincey. Thomas de Quincey, we know. Thomas de Quincey, famously known for his knocking at the door of Macbeth, right? And his opium and his mail coach. So these are some of the other important works of the Thomas de Quincey. So make sure you cover these romantic prose writer from also from a net exam perspective. They are very important. Beside this work, Characters of the Shakespeare's play by the William Hazlitt, published in the 1817, and on the English comic writers in the 1819. Only their dates, the name, who wrote them is important, nothing more than that, right? No need to go in the depth of it, because net exam, set exam, gate exam are different than understanding the literature. They just want to know your objective knowledge most of the time, and some of the questions will obviously be absurd that you will get to see here very soon. Okay, here it comes. 19th question. Victorian compromise and its enemies is the opening chapter of the Victorian age in literature by, it was by the C.K. Chesterton, right? So there is no logic to it, and that like these are some of the difficult questions for sure. I find it difficult. I do not know about you, but I find it difficult for sure. So you can, if you do not know like one question out of 19, so this is all right. It's not a big deal, because these questions like quite absurd, right? And yeah, if you want to search on it, even though I did a research on it, I didn't find anything important like which can give me a link to the another important thing. So I think this is the only thing I need important to share here, that its writer is the C.K. Chesterton. 20th question. The member of the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood were primarily, so Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood was formed in the 1848, right? Primarily they were the painters, and they were also the secondarily the poets as well, for what they had also started their journal called the Germ in the 1850. And D.G. Rossetti was the very important figure we have here, right? So this is what you have to remember about a Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood. Then we have the 21st question here, the Apologia Pro Vita Sua. Apologia Pro Vita Sua is the Latin work. In English, it means the defense of one's own life. Defense of one's own life is the meaning of it. Written by the John Henry Newman in the 1864. So it is the Victorian age prose work, and it was written as a reply to the Charles Kingsley, because he was also the part of the church during that time. He was playing the role of authority there, I think. So it was written as a response by the John Henry Newman in 1864, right? So make sure you remember it. Then we have here the other question. I'm having this problem with this here. Okay, 22nd question we have here. The death of little Nell Trent. I'm giving you a hint here. In Dickens' novel is unfailingly mentioned in any discussion of Victorian sentimental, which is a novel where we have this character called Little Nell. So Little Nell appear in the old curiosity shop, right? Little Nell lives with her grandfather. They run this shop, old curiosity shop, and in order to provide, all the good things, all the facilities to the to Nell, he start doing gambling, and he used to borrow money from Daniel. Daniel is one of the, you know the villain character we have here. He is the villain character, not one of the. He is the villain character, the main villain. He is the Daniel Hopkins. So make sure you remember it, the name of him. He her her grandfather borrowed the money from the Daniel, and when he was unable to pay it, they had to run. And when they ran, at the end, we found that Nell Trent died. And it was really an emotional novel. Even though Victorian, the Queen Victoria wrote that it is very interesting and cleverly written. She quoted this about this novel, so make sure you remember this too. Very interesting and cleverly written is the quote about the Old Curiosity Shop, 1841 novel by the Charles Dickens from the Queen Victoria. Nicholas Nickleby is another work, one of his first work, 1839 published, where he talks about the condition of schools during that period. The main villain character we have here, the Squeers, who are running the boarding school, and the situation and the condition of the students are really bad. And this is where the style he is trying to make through his this work. Then we have David Copperfield. It is the autobiographical work, 1849 published, and it is the Bildungsroman book. Bildungsroman means where we see the growth of the protagonist from the childhood to the adulthood. A Christmas Carol, 1843 published. The main character we have here is the Ebenezer Scrooge. Ebenezer Scrooge is the main character we have here, and he is visited by the ghost of his partner called the Jacob Marley. So Ebenezer Scrooge is a miser. He does not have any sympathy and love for the people. Not a good person. So it is the Christmas, and he is being visited by Jacob Marley and by the spirit of the past, present, and the future. And there he saw that what he was in the past, what his present time is, what his future is, that nobody will be loving him, nobody will care about him. He will die alone if he will keep living in this way. He was a miser, conjuice, who does not share things with other people. And after knowing his future, if he will keep leading his life in a similar way, he became a changed man, a loving man. Right? Another question we have here. Dash was done, and the president of the Immortals in Ascalian praise had ended his sport with a test of the Tuber Willis, 1891 Thomas Hardy's novel. Right? Its subtitle is Test of the Tuber Willis. Subtitle is A Pure Woman. So these are the details you have to remember from the exam perspective, so make sure you remember them. We will also come to the subjective point, but that I find will be much interesting if we will make a subjective pattern video on the test of the Tuber Willis. Right? So justice is the word which should come here. Justice was done, and the president of Immortals in the Ascalian phrase had ended his sport with death. So this is what you need to remember about it. Beside this, there are other important novels by the Thomas Hardy, which we will be surely be covering in our upcoming video completely. Right? So another question we have is the 24th question. George Bernard Shaw was one of the founders of the Fabian Society. It was the socialist group. Do you know socialist group? What does socialist do? Socialist do. Karl Marx was a socialist who thinks that the money, the property, should be divided equally among all the people. Right? There should be no difference. Everyone should be equal in the society. So that's what socialists do. And the Fabian Society is formed by the George Bernard Shaw here. Another question we have here is the 25th question. The poetry of G.M. Hopkins. G.M. Hopkins is the innovator of the sprung rhythm, which follows the natural speech. It is based on the natural speech. What? Sprung rhythm. Who is the innovator? G.M. Hopkins. His poetry was collected and published after the poet's death by his friend. Robert Bridge was his friend. This is the only thing we need to know here. Right? So he's the one who wrote this, who published his works posthumously, because as he was not comfortable enough about his writing during his life, so and Robert Bridge found a value there, so he published them. 26th question we have. If I should die, think only this of me, that there is some corner of a foreign field that is forever England. So all of these are here, these three, the war poets. And the following line is taken from the Soldier poem, written by the Rupert Brooke in 1915. Wilfred Owen, Sigfrid Soon is very important. Beside him, the question is formed from the war poets, so make sure we cover it. And you know from where you have to cover it, simply from the My Professor note, study material, no need to go here and there to waste your time and energy. Rudyard Kipling published the 1901 Kim novel. Great game is the term which is coined there. You know, some of the important things you have to know from the exam perspective. And then we have another question here, 27th question we have here. 27th question we have here is, who among the pink poets was named poet laureate? So all of these poets are here come from the Auden group and also called as the Mac Spun Day. You know, they are called the Mac Spun Day. Yeah, Mac Spun Day. On Day. So on is Auden, Mac is Louis Mackenzie, Day is Cecil de Lewis, and Spawn is Stephen Spender. And they are also known as the poet of the 30s, right? And the modern poets. So Cecil de Lewis is the one who became the poet laureate in the 1968. And some of his important poems are the Address to the Mother, Epitaph to an Enemy. You know, these are the important poems which are the famous one he has written. And he was from 1608 to 72. He was the poet laureate of England. 28th question. Rage, rage against the dying of the light is a line from Do Not Go Gentle into That Good Night. Poem by Welsh poet William Thomas. This is where this line is coming from. W.B. Yeats, he was given the Nobel Prize and very famous from Sailing to the Byzantium and Second Coming, from where the line Things Fall Apart is taken for the Chinua Achebe's work Things Fall Apart, right? We will be discussing all these things, right? And but now we're just analyzing it, so it becomes very important for us that we do this only. The first masterpiece of modernism. So Wasteland came in the 1922. Ulysses came in the 1920. Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock came in the 1915. And Finnegan's Wake came in the 1939. Two of these by the James Joyce and 2 of these by the T.S. Eliot. So obviously 1950 is the first one, so Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock is the first masterpiece we have here. 30th question and the last question that we're doing here. Henry's conflict with Thomas Becket is dramatized in the play Kurt Mental. All these plays which are written here are by the Charles Kingsley, I think. Or I'm just having a doubt, but the Charles is the Kingsley is one of the writer I have known of these works. If I am just forgetting the name, so I'll obviously mention it in the comment section, and you yourself can also do some research on it, because it will surely add in value and you will never forget that name. When we do the search, when we write it down, we know it leaves an great impact on our memory. Published in the 1960s, this is where Kurt Mental, this is where we get to see the conflict between the Henry II and the Thomas Becket. So this is all for today. This is the first part of this analysis. Very soon I'll be uploading till evening or tomorrow the second part of it, which becomes very important to cover for me exam perspective. Okay, so very soon I'll be back. Till then, show the consistency and the discipline. I'll be back very soon with another important video. Till then time, signing off.